Today guys, we're going to change the heater outlet hose on this 2015 Nissan Frontier pickup. Now this is what the outlet heater hose looks like. This is the new one right here. And then if you look back here, so here's where it's at. Put that on there for a second. So this is your inlet hose, and then this is the outlet hose here. Comes out here, goes along the back of the firewall, and then just comes down to right here. It's a simple swap, guys. The only thing holding this on is that clamp right there. These two nuts that are on the back of the firewall, and then that clamp right there. And then normally you'd also have to take off this hose here, but since that's where mine broke, I don't have to worry about that at the moment. Now this is the OEM hose here, guys. As you can see, this piece here that broke, this is a plastic piece, and then on the aftermarket piece here, this is a Dorman part number 626598. This is made out of metal, so it's one solid piece there. You can see it's all aluminum. Now this was marketed as a OE fix, so my guess is, I don't know for certain, but my guess is this is kind of a known problem, and this is a known weak point on the factory hoses. Usually, guys, I'm a big fan of always buying OEM parts when I can, because usually they're very good quality, but you know, sometimes there are flaws in the factory parts. So when that happens, you know, why not get a, you know, upgraded aftermarket part like this for it? So that's what I did here. This was about $47 on Amazon, so not too bad. I think at my local auto parts store they ran for about 60 bucks or so. All right, now this hose here, guys, this is full of coolant. So when you take off this clamp down here, there will be some of that's going to spill out. And then of course at the end we need to make sure that we're at the proper level again. But let's go ahead and get started. Oh, one more note. So reason why I have my intake manifold off here, guys, was because I was actually in the middle of a separate job. I was changing out my spark plugs when I noticed that this had broke. I don't know if this was already broken or I accidentally broke it when I was trying to get a wrench in there to get off the PCV valve. So that might have been me that did that, I'm not sure, but I noticed that this was loose, and then there was, sure enough, a little bit of coolant that was spilling out of there. But this job can be done with the factory manifold and the intake and all that stuff in place still, guys. Again, all you have to do is take off that clamp, take off the other clamp down there, and those two nuts right there, and then you can slide it out through here. You know, obviously it's going to be easier to do it this way, and it's sort of nice that you guys get a good visual of it this way, because when the factory parts are in there, it's going to be, you know, much harder to see. And the one hard part, I imagine, is getting that nut off will be kind of tricky. You'll probably need some sort of a swivel socket on there, especially with the factory manifold in the way there. But let's go ahead and get started. So again, guys, right over here by the oil dipstick, we're gonna take off that hose right down there. So we're gonna get this clamp back here. See if I can film this at the same time. All right, now I got it back far enough. All right, this is the part, guys, where it might get a little messy. There you go, kind of twist it, break the torque on there, pull that off. There you go. Woo! All right, that was a good amount that came out there. And hopefully most of it got in my bucket down there. All right, so now we're gonna take off this nut right here and then that second nut over there. These are both 10mm nuts, and I'm just gonna use a swivel socket here. And then same thing over here on this side. This is the part that's going to be really tricky for you guys if you're not taking off this manifold. There you go, second one's off. So now we just got to get this clamp off here. Perfect, slid that back easily. And again, be ready for a little more coolant to come out here. But we're just going to be as careful as we can be here. That one out of the way. There we go. Not a whole lot there. Most of it drained out from the bottom over there. So now we just gotta get this out of here. Feed it through there and out like that. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the two. As you can see, pretty much the exact same thing, just the difference is this right here, metal versus plastic. And go ahead and give the pipes here a good wipe that the new hoses are gonna go on. Make sure they're nice and clean. And then we're just gonna take our new one. We're gonna feed it around this brake booster hose here. So it goes in between that, like that. And then get this down in there. Perfect. And then sort of use these little studs over here as our guide. And then I'm just going to loosely put on these little nuts just to kind of hold it on there so it doesn't fall off. I'm not going to tighten these yet. So I think that these right here, these come on the new one. I believe this is meant to allow you to kind of slide on that hose and then take this off, and then your clamp will like tighten. So it's almost like having it clamped prior to installing it and then releasing the clamp. So I think it's made to make your life easier, but right now I'm having a little bit of trouble getting it on here. So maybe I'll try this other end first. See if that'll go on there. Okay, I got it over the tip. I mean, usually what I do is I just take the clamp and I slide it backwards. But I think what those are designed for is to be able to slide it on there and then you release it once it's on there. It's just really snug over the first part there. I think what I'm going to do, guys, I think I'm just going to take this off. You just pull it up. So that's exactly what that little like clip was for. Once you like pull it off of there, these snap closed basically, you know, tighten up. So what I did was I just slid it back. You know, I took off that piece and I slid it back. Now put this back where it needs to go. Slide it on that barb. Should go on much easier. There we go. See? Make sure it's flush, you know, all the way up against that little rib there. And then now you can take your clamp and or pliers and bring that back down to right here. So there you go. The hose is on. Okay, so same thing here. I just pulled that clamp back a little bit. There we go. Now it's on there. Okay, now I'm going to make sure this feeds onto the stud. Perfect. It's going where it needs to go. And then again, same thing. You just got to push it all the way back till the rubber hose is flush on that little bead there. There we go. Okay, I think we're on there. I think we're good. Hard part's done. Push this back up against the firewall and see if I can thread this little nut on a little bit. Just get it started. Alright, we're just gonna snug both those up. Alright guys, so now the last thing to do here, I just gotta take this clamp off so I can get this old piece that's broken out of there. Slide that back. See if I can pull this off. There you go. So, as you can see, it's the same thing. It's just, this one is a plastic with a little failure point right there. And this is all aluminum, all one piece there. So now we check our hose, of course. You know, you want to check this hose, make sure there's no damage to that one. And then we're just going to slide this back on top there, all the way down. And we'll bring our clamp down as well. Right there. All right, and so last thing here, guys, you know, if you did take off your intake manifold now, you know, of course you need to put it all back together, but if you didn't, you're all done. Last thing for you to do is just to make sure that your coolant level's at the right level. And of course, this is your coolant reservoir over here on the passenger side by the battery. So you need to check your levels down there. You know, once you start the car, run it, everything, come back several times as the fluid circulates through the system. Double and triple check your levels. And then test out your heater, guys. Make sure that it actually works, and you're all done. Hope this helped, guys. Remember to do it yourself.